Hi, welcome to the One True Divine Feminine and Psychic Investigations Tarot. We're a place where we spread light and love and angelic vibes across the universe. We also help to solve crimes and talk about important issues. That being said, I appreciate it if everybody who's watching would give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate it and send lots of light and love out your way. So today we're going to start off with some of the handmade cards again, because part of this is about solving crimes, right? And I find myself in the midst of a lot of whirlwind kind of energy these days. And then after that, we're going to talk about Neptune in the eighth house again, because I'm an astrologer. And yes, I did use astrology to solve my own crime. So it is a great way to learn about yourself, to, you know, find ways to overcome conundrums. I noticed somebody's interested in career counseling, and I would charge $350 for a reading. That usually takes about 10 hours of background work plus an hour to go over the results on the phone. If you're interested, you can send me a chat message with your contact information, including a phone number, and then we can go from there. Anyhow, I hope everybody's having a great holiday season. I send lots of light and love your way. So we are going to start with difficult things, though, because I'm still in the midst of difficult things. So I'm going to say we need to have an internal affairs investigation happen where I live, right? Because it's Pluto and Capricorn, and we need to clean up the universe. And there have been some serious wrongs that have happened in my hometown, and they need to be righted. And we're setting the seeds for the next 248 years of the United States, so it's time to clean things up. And one of the people who's going to be a focal point for this is the J-off judge, right? This is somebody I'm not proud of. I find myself wishing, it's terrible, but that a black hole would rot its way through his consciousness, right, for what they did to me. That's just how I feel. That's what happens when you take the justice system and turn it upside down on its head because you're trying to cover up horrible crimes, right? So anyhow, I am going to burn this hole through your consciousness until you do the right thing or you go to jail. So the question I have is, did you grow up in a barn without any morals? I want to know. I really want to know. And what you really should be charged with is sex trafficking. You and all of the people that helped. It's not funny. It's a crime, and you should be in jail. So I want you to know exactly what I think of you. And I want an internal affairs investigation here. So those that have the power to make that happen, please make it happen, because this is indecent human behavior. But I shouldn't have to tell a judge that now, should I? So you are very likely going to become the downfall of your city, because detectives and investigators are digging into stuff. And when they find enough, you're going to become the person that creates the downfall. Or you could just right your wrong and take care of business right now. But if you don't, there will come a point where you're going to rat out all of your friends too. That's going to involve a lot of people in local government. Now, the question I really want to get down to was any of this godlike? But I'm also curious, did you uphold your oath? No, because you're the J-off judge. That's what you are in my mind. And I live in a place where life is elevated, right? Eventually, just so you know, this is all going to hit international news. And boy, you're going to make your city so proud for what you did. And a lot of what happened had so much to do with pootie humpers. Okay, these are white nationalists, right? Who are forming a stronger and stronger alliance with a very corrupt police state in Russia. And of course, as we get more and more corrupt, we look more and more like that corrupt police state ourselves. But had a lot to do with Pootie Humpers. And for some reason, and I don't know why, maybe it's intuition, this makes me think of an official person who was in a room, right? Who was in a room? I have to wonder, were they in the room with a suitcase of money to pay people off? I'm curious about that. And I think detectives should be curious about that too. But that brings me back to a little song that I sang in my house. And it's "You're Down on Your Effing Knees." And you were begging Pootie, "Oh, pretty please. Pull those levers, my big Russian hunk. And I will give you some of my really special junk." I think they have, if you're moving, there's real estate in Moscow. Just saying. Anyhow, I hear perhaps there's going to be accolades coming for me for crime busting, because though my city sided with the mob and sex traffickers and pedophile rings, I was actually working with the good guys to solve those types of things. So if the accolades are coming, I don't want them to be given here. Why? Because I do not live in an honorable place, right? They lost their honor by siding with the mob and the criminals. And they can say, "Oh, it was all because of a false police report," but did you even bother to investigate, or have you done anything to fix the wrongs that you perpetrated in my house, including wiring my shower with a wireless camera connection, right? Now, I keep hoping that I have a decent neighbor. I thought I did, but I could be wrong. And, I wonder, were they in my shower too? Was the whole neighborhood in my shower? Is that how, God-like we are here? But I keep hoping that there's one neighbor who has a conscience, who knows about what happened and is going to fill out an online form called an IC3 to tell the FBI what you know. I keep hoping that there's one decent neighbor. So, and again, because I am a tad psychic, I am going to make a prediction, right? And that snapped-on hairdo is either going to jail or going to be leaving town suddenly on a rail. Now this Christmas, and again, I believe in the same God you do, right? I know that one of the lies they told was that I was a witch. I know nothing about witchcraft, right? I believe in the same God you do. So this Christmas, may our great Creator, who looks down upon us all with love and light and beauty and all of the good things, right? Please help America to become decent and fair and just once again. And I'm hoping a neighbor is going to help me to do that. I want to believe I have at least one good neighbor, right? Thought I did. All right. So I thought the judge should know what I think, right? They basically poo-pooed all over their profession to hide the many crimes that have been done, right? So I just can't help but think that just doesn't seem honorable for a judge. But there have been a lot of judges that have not been very honorable lately. All right, so that being said, that's the juicy part. Now we're going to talk about Neptune in the 8th house. And the 8th house, well, this card, it says it's all about endings. But in reality, it's way more than just that. It's a powerful place where cataclysmic events in our life unfold. It's also a place where, especially if you have a lot of planets there, you can begin to peer behind the veil. It rules over big life events. Um, Things like sexes, taxes, um, other people's money and resources, big psychological divides that we face in our lives, and also things that are hidden behind the veil, right? This one's pulling the cowrie shells back and she's peering behind the veil. Now, because this is also about Neptune, and we're only dealing with the high vibing end right now, remember? So this is kind of how we seek a God um, in our chart. It's how we connect to the divine when we're working on the high end of things. And Neptune is ruled by Pisces. And you can see here when Pisces is working on the upper end of things, it's a card of I believe, right? I want to merge with the divine, okay, on the high end. So, as a result of these energies, Neptune is the house that can lead us to submerging ourselves into various dream states, hypnotherapy, or even astrology, right? So, it is a way for us to see a little bit behind the veil. It can help us to deal with dark nights of the soul that we might encounter. And just, how do we reach the divine by digging deep into the subconscious mind? And it can also have a lot to do with people who work in counseling, soul retrieval work, grief counselors, or even hospice nurses and other workers. Why? Because it's a big psychological divide. People that are facing life and death situations, right? And of course, when we're thrown into that dark night of the soul, what do? We reach out for help from our Creator, right? So this tends to cause enough cataclysmic events in our lives that we want to merge with that God energy. Now, the eighth house also has a lot to do with how we merge with others, both in intimacy and sex. And to understand the energy of this, you have to look to the sign on the cusp of the eighth house, because that's going to flavor very, very, very distinctly the type of energy that unfolds. Now, certainly with Neptune here, there can be a very spiritual or emotional connection with the people that you're intimate with. And that seems like a normal thing, but there can be a very strong component of joining with people on a soul level, and here's the water, the emotional level. Now, this can also have to do with tantric sex, or sex counselors could emerge with this type of placement. And because it's a dream house or a mystery house, Jungian psychologists who specialize in analyzing dream work to tap into the workings of the subconscious mind. And you can see, this person is very much dealing with the imagery floating in their heads. That's another possibility. And when I went through hypnotherapy school, I was very blessed to have a co-student next to me who was a Jungian psychologist, and she was fascinated with my dreams and my dream journal. And I was fascinated with her because though I had learned a lot, there were times when I would get stumped trying to figure out what certain dreams meant. And the wisdom and knowledge that she could pull out from my dream journal were absolutely amazing. So Neptune in the eighth house would be a perfect placement for somebody who has those kinds of skills. Now, because the eighth house has so much to do with big cataclysmic divides in your life, big psychological issues. So again, the watery emotional state and the tower here, you might face difficult emotions in the eighth house, grief, things that will make you seek the divine on a never-ending quest to help to heal psychological issues that can be caused by various traumas. Um, Things where you feel bereft, like there is no love, or that you've been abandoned by intimacy, or possibly even cases of rape or life or death matters, even suicide or near death experiences. These are all the kinds of things that can emerge out of an eighth house when Neptune is present. A perfect example would be a deathbed confession, right? So when you have a lot of planets in the eighth house, especially, particularly sensitive ones, like say the moon or the north node or Neptune, this can also really bring in psychic talents to a person, which are gifts from the divine. They're not something to be feared. They're not weird. They can be really wonderful, right? And I think truly that most psychic people, you can pull that out of their chart and see how they got to where they are. So, and of course, all of these kinds of mysterious events will cause you to lean on your creator to solve the various cataclysmic issues. And that's an absolute perfect way to tap in to the God energy of Neptune in the eighth. So you can see this person's really tapped in. You can see some of the chakras. You can see the cosmic energy. And this person is, really connecting to their creator in this way. All right, Neptune and or Pisces, which governs the energy of this planet, also rules over some darker things like drugs, poisons, and even resources that are deeply buried. So with the poisoning attempt that happened to my husband, for example, I would highly suspect a Pisces to be involved, possibly a Scorpio. But they certainly rule over some of the darker things too. And drugs, poisons, and deeply buried things are just some of those. Now, some of those deeply buried things that you can find in the eighth house, they're not all bad. They can be inner resources, spirituality that allows you to rise up like a phoenix over extreme difficulties. This can even have to do with petroleum. But no matter what, delving into the watery realms of turbulent emotions or the subconscious is called for when Neptune is in this house. And as a result of this placement, somebody could become a substance abuse counselor. Here you can see someone who's, smoking something probably they shouldn't. It's conjuring up illusions and delusions that are circling around their head. And so somebody who works as a substance abuse counselor could readily be indicated with this particular placement. You could also work with trauma victims and even, things that have to do with just life or death issues, traumas of various kinds, life or death things. And a lot of what can happen in the eighth is that you're living in some kind of illusion. So counselors that help to pull you out of that illusory state are highly indicated. Okay. Other professions that could come from this are people that work on oil derricks, especially out at sea. And again, because Neptune has so much to do with water and also buried resources. You could literally make money or manage money from gas and oil industries, for example. And a person that creates illusions about addictive substances is another possibility. And I give you a great example, and it was the cigarette industry, who used to put on all kinds of very illusory ads to convince people that the throat scratch that they were having was really not a problem at all. And they would use doctors who would come forth on their ads and just say, oh, it's just a sore throat. So they were using illusions to sell addictive substances, basically. And this very same energy of Neptune in the eighth can also have a lot to do with the film industry and even photography. So you might find war correspondents, for example, people that deal with the death energy, right? Or like photojournalism, for example, on wars. Or it could be someone who films major life events like life, births, deaths, funerals, that type of thing. It even can have to do with pornography and sex traffickers as well. Now, films on New Age spirituality, and you can see this woman's tapped in. She's got all of that energy coming into her crown chakra. Um, People who are into spirituality are also represented here. So it could be films or teachers that deal with hypnotherapy or dream work or even past life regressions. And I have read 2 volumes of books written by psychologists who are actually hypnotists. And they have gone back in people's lives, not one life, many, many lives, and helped to heal past life traumas that were causing them physical ailments in this very life. And by going backwards in time and healing the past emotion, their current sickness was healed. So, since I do believe we go round and round on the wheel of life, that we have multiple lives, this kind of healing work can be very powerful. Now, I know some people don't believe in past lives. That's okay. I just happen to. If you are interested, I would recommend that you read the book Many Lives, Many Masters. This was a woman who was having physical problems. She couldn't get them fixed. And a colleague at work talked her into going to see a particular doctor, psychologist. He was a hypnotist, and he delved into her subconscious mind. And in doing so, he, with her help, discovered life after life after life after life. And what was very intriguing in that book was the guy who had recommended her to this particular psychologist was one of the people that she always journeyed with. And the roles changed over time, but he was like a guiding spirit or soul. Sometimes he was her husband. Sometimes he was her teacher. Sometimes he was just the good friend at work. But in every life that she could remember, this particular soul was always there. So these are the kinds of things that you can learn and also heal when under hypnotherapy. Now, the 8th house also has a lot to do with other people's money and resources. So if you see a lot of planets lining up into your 8th house, well, it could be that they're very interested in you, intimacy wise, but they could also be just interested in your money or managing your money. So this is a great placement where scams can actually occur. And this is the 8 of discs, which is failure. Oh no, 7 of discs, sorry. You can see it sort of a dark night of the soul where it comes to money. So, and because Neptune has much to do with films, films that come to mind are The Big Short, which was a great expose on the 2008 financial meltdown and housing industry crash, which that's a great movie on Netflix if you want to see that. And another related film would be Too Big to Fail. So when you have an illusory planet like Neptune floating around in the house of other people's monies, and it has to do with the film industry, well, these are the kinds of things that can pop up. And this is how you begin to put the story of astrology together. You put all the pieces together to learn. And because this is such a powerful house, a mystery house, a house where really big life events and psychological events happen, whatever goes down in the 8th house is going to shake you to your core, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. It's where we tangle with big life events, even murders sometimes, the huge psychological divides that we face, like suicide or near-death experiences, how we share intimacy with others, and also all about shared resources. Now, of course, this doesn't mean it's going to kill you. This is the death card, though sometimes that can actually indicate a death. But it is also very often just the opportunity to transform whatever is going on there, because it is ruled by Scorpio, and Scorpio has that amazing ability to rise from the ashes when they tap into the inner strength that they carry within their souls. So when you start tangling, though, with those big life events, you need to start thinking Poseidon, because that has everything to do with Neptune. Potential for shipwreck, doesn't mean it's going to happen, but there's that possibility. And the means by which you survive an emotional deluge. So there you have it, Neptune in the 8th on the high vibe. There are many places you can go to get your free birth chart online. So if you want to start learning about your spiritual DNA, I would go in, get one of the free natal charts, plug in your date of birth, hour and minute, city and state. And by doing this, you can begin to understand yourself better, your conundrums better, and then in time, even be able to see how you can time things better in your life and what your natural talents and abilities are, and just be able to understand yourself as a cosmic being of light. All right, that being said, God bless everybody. I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas. Thank you to detectives, private investigators, FBI agents, God, everybody who has been helping to correct the extreme injustices I've had happening in my life due to corruption and various things that just shouldn't be going on in our universe. And may we pray that we can find a peaceful resolution so that we can bring peace down to earth. That's my greatest wish and desire. And again, I'm going to keep pushing the ideas of territories, because I think that helps us to get out of this conundrum that we're in right now. And as Americans, we shouldn't be harming each other, right? We should be finding ways to love and understand each other, and try to work things out, even if it means separating, so that everybody gets more of what they want without all of the chaos, right? So God bless each and every one of you. Thank you for all the work you've done. My heart is filled with love and gratitude for every blessing that I have received. All right. I wish you all well. God bless and have a great day.